For it is by grace you are saved through faith, not of yourselves, but it is a gift of God. Ephesians 2:8. Welcome to Grace Bond Ministries.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Jonathan here. I've been working for a while on this new software. Uh, that's how I was able to finally put the introduction on my Facebook Live videos, and a lot of cool stuff happening. This is going to be a unique podcast because it's the first video review that I've done. So let me just cut right to the chase. So I was sent this video from a friend of mine, and it's a TikTok video, and it's gone viral now, hundreds of thousands of views. Um, but here's here's the thing about this guy. He's a New Age guy. I don't know how much of the New Age people actually use that term. They say I'm a New Ager. Usually they don't. They try to talk about it as if it's something new, something fresh, something that's not part of a group. But there's a group of people, and we call them New Age believers, and they have some very funky, uh, crazy theologies and ideas, and most of which we're about to see in this video are just they're just not true. All right, they're really just not true. Uh, the worst thing he says in this video, we'll get to it here in just a second, is that uh, King James published the Bible, and that's just not a. This is not a true, not a true thing. That's actually it's just not true. That's one of the worst things you'll see in this video. Um, so I got sent this video. I listened to it and was not impressed. And come to find out, he does many other videos and talks about a lot of the same stuff that I've heard from multiple people, and I've heard from multiple people and multiple teachers and all sorts of things. Dang. And I've heard from multiple people. And sorry about the pause there. Yeah, the video is just not keeping up to date on my computer, but I see the live stream is going good. So, anyways, um, I want to go ahead and get down to this video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this video, and when I feel a point where he makes a point or something, I need to stop it. I'm going to stop it. All right. You can find this guy on TikTok. He's not the only one of his kind. He's not some new teacher that come up with some new idea that nobody else has ever come up with. He's gotten this from other people, and really, it's just weak philosophy. So a lot of people that don't know anything about philosophy will actually grip a hold of this, and then think they're deep thinkers, even though the philosophy is actually not good. So, anyways, this is the video. I'm going to go ahead and begin to play it. And I do want to mention some things right here at the beginning. So give me just a second. Let me pull it up here.
It's funny that you say this.
All right. Oh.
It's funny.
All right. So if you look, if you'll look here, the little comment right here. So he posts these videos, and he gets hundred thousands of views on these videos on TikTok, and but anyways, he gets some of these comments, and I got this one here. It says, "These be the same people that believe in the Illuminati yet don't believe in God." Uh, I'm not really sure exactly who that person is, but this is kind of what he does. He makes a video, he looks at the comments, finds one that he wants to address, and and when he addresses he addresses the comment in another video, and it gets a lot of popularity. The thing that breaks my heart, though, is that this video has over 500,000 views. I think it's at just this one. I don't know about the other ones. And a lot of people are gripping a hold of what this guy is talking about. and it's just not good, and it leads people astray big time. He's going to talk about the great deceiver, and I think he is deceived by the great deceiver. Anyways, let's take a listen. Like I said, I'm going to pause it when I get to a point I think I need to explain something or chime in or whatever. I want to comment on at least on most of the video that I can, to be honest with you. But listen, I'm not a professional. I don't know everything about all this stuff. I shouldn't have said I'm not a professional. I guess I am a professional, but I don't know everything there is to know. So I may misspeak. I may say something I'm not sure about, or I may just be honest and say I'm really not sure about this. But anyways, I want to make sure that I address this and that you've heard somebody address this kind of thing. Because he talks about a lot of the New Age stuff in this video. It's not just the little stuff, all right? So here's the video. Let's take a listen.
That you say this. Let's see what the Illuminati is. Pay attention to that symbol. That look like the same symbol that's on the dollar bill. On the dollar bill, it also says, "In God we trust." So that means God's real because it says it on the dollar, right? But the Illuminati worships Satan. And Satan is the beholder of lights. So why is it saying, "In God we trust," if that's not the real God, correct? Monotheism is the belief there is only one God.
All right. So before I get into his monotheism error, I just want to say this about the beginning there. So he's talking about the Illuminati, right? And how there's been a conspiracy or whatever for a long time that the Illuminati symbol was written on the dollar bill. I don't know much about that. I try to stay away from conspiracy theories, to be honest. I don't know much about that, about the Illuminati in general, to be honest with you. So I'm just gonna have to, plead the fifth there. But the Illuminati symbol and the "In God We Trust" writing on the dollar bill I don't believe there's any correlation there whatsoever. So he builds his correlation. Is kind of he tries to put those two together because it's written on a dollar bill, and then you may not notice this, but I notice it because I hear it all the time. He was actually mocking Christians in that by saying he does this multiple times throughout this video, but um, he says that in that phrase he said, since the dollar bill says that God exists and God exists, right? And what he's implying is that Christians believe in God based on basically little to no evidence, and you'll see that even more throughout the video. All right. So, like I said, I don't know much about the Illuminati stuff. I don't think there's any connection. And I think he's stretching to try to make a connection there, for sure.
But the Illuminati worships Satan. And Satan is the beholder of lights. So why is it saying, "In God we trust," if that's not the real God, correct?
Yeah, like I said, I don't think there's any connection between the two there. In the Illuminati and Satan. All right. So what he's trying to do in this video is say that the God of Christianity, and specifically the God of the Bible, is actually, in reality, it's Satan himself who has deceived Christians. Okay? Let's keep watching.
Monotheism is the belief there is only one God, and all religions worship one God. But what if that one God was actually...
Okay. This was a very major mistake, all right? Obviously, he showed the definition of monotheism. Monotheism really literally means the belief in one God, all right? So that part's true, 100% true. That's what monotheism believes, and Christians are monotheists. But then he says that all religions worship one God. That's not true. There's plenty of religions that worship many gods. Some of them, maybe like the Hindus, some Hindus are more like hedonists, and a hedonist is someone who, God is the supreme God. Yahweh is the supreme God, but there's all these other little gods. That's hedonism. But a lot of Hindus and Mormons and a couple of different other religions are not monotheistic. Like Mormons, they believe that when you die, you actually become a god of your own planet. So in reality, they really believe that there's multiple gods. And then the fact of the deity, Jesus is a god. Same thing with Jehovah's Witnesses. They call Jesus a god, so they're more hedonists. They're not monotheistic. And some religions are boastfully not monotheistic, and they're polytheistic, which means they believe in multiple gods. So that's just the false claim there. And I see why he's trying to make that claim, because he's trying to say that the God that's worshipped in all these religions is actually Satan, which I believe he would describe more as the negative force in the world, not really a person or a being, but a negative force in the world. So that's a major error. And he's going to make a video like this. You would think he would have at least a little more knowledge about the terms and things he uses. But he's really just trying to make a point. Maybe he smoked a little too much weed or something and was trying to make a point or something like that. But it's just not true. All religions are not monotheistic.
Satan. Hear me out. Do you see how Jesus is holding up two fingers? Just how Satan here is holding up two fingers? You can even see the Pope holding up two fingers. So what does that mean? The two fingers you see means apostolic succession. Apostolic succession means temporal power. So when you see these deities hold that symbol up, it's a reminder that Satan is actually God. Like, come on, bro. He even putting it in y'all face. Oh, there go the Pope again. Now, even y'all know.
All right. First of all, I don't know who took that picture of Jesus, but man, they would have been making some money in the first century if they would have had a camera taking pictures of Jesus Christ. I'm not sure where he gets those pictures, but I'm guessing if he's basing it off of Catholicism, I'm guessing he gets it from some kind of Catholic database, and it's got some picture of Jesus and the Pope and all that stuff. I didn't look into this. I really should have. I'm just going to be honest about the apostolic succession thing. For one, I don't know if the two fingers. I'm fairly certain that does mean apostolic succession. I don't know if that literally translates temporal power. I don't know where he gets that from. He could be right on that. I'm not really sure. But all Christians don't believe in apostolic succession, for one. For two, it's not really a common symbol that you see the two fingers held up like that. And you really have to dive deep into where those pictures came from, who drew them, where they came from, all that kind of thing, because none of those are actual pictures. I mean, the Pope, may have held up two fingers sometimes for apostolic succession. Like I said, I'm pretty sure the two fingers is a representative of apostolic succession, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I really should look into that more. Maybe write a little blog post about that on Facebook later on, or post it in the comments or something like that. But so anyways, here again we got something another far-fetched thing. And so what he's trying to say is that since Jesus held up the two fingers, the Pope holds up two fingers, and Satan holds up the two fingers, it's Satan literally putting it in our face that Satan is actually God, right? So he's using the two fingers to say Satan is in agreement with the two fingers with the Pope and Jesus Christ, making him the one we worship. That's just not accurate. It's really, like I said, really poor philosophy and thinking and facts on that.
Satan is the biggest deceiver. You see.
Now I'll agree with him on that. Satan is the biggest deceiver, but what I would not agree with him on is who's being deceived, because he may not realize this, but there's a whole group of people called the New Agers, and they're all under this. They're really all under this. It's almost like a spell. They're all under the same teachings. It's like they have the same teacher teaching them these things, like all these new age ideas and philosophies and all that stuff. It's like they have the same teacher. It's like they're being deceived by the same exact person. And so where we and him would disagree on is which one of us is actually being deceived. And I think the evidence and the facts are on my side.
How he deceived the whole world into worshiping him. You see how Jesus is the morning star.
All right, so he's already concluded at this point that Satan has deceived the whole world into worshiping him. All the monotheistic religions out there, because all religions are monotheistic, remember? No, that's not true. But like he said, he believes that all religions are monotheistic and that they're worshiping this one God. This one God is Satan, who has deceived all these people. So now we're going to get to this morning star reference. Oh, by the way, there's no, like I said, there's no backing to saying that. Still no evidence that for just about anything he said so far, and definitely not that the God that anybody worships is Satan, or the God that we worship is Satan as Christians.
In the Bible, and Lucifer is also referred to as the morning star in the Bible. They're putting it in y'all face. Let's look at who published the Bible.
Okay, so I looked at the morning star reference, and I did look this one up. So I thought that was pretty interesting that Satan was referred to as the morning star. Let me see if I can go back here. All right, so Isaiah 14. Let me just read that. Let me just read that to you real quick. All right. And if you actually go pick up the Bible and if you read Isaiah 14 instead of Googling it and Googling something on Wikipedia for your sources, get a little sassy now. But if you look at this, all right, so uh, this is a passage that is related to the downfall of the king of Babylon. Uh, but listen to what he says here. This is verse 12. Shining morning star, how you have fallen from the heavens, you destroyer of nations. You have been cut down to the ground. You said to yourself, I will ascend to the heavens. I will set up my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mount in the God's assembly, in the remotest parts of the north. I will ascend above the highest clouds. I will make myself like the Most High, but you will be brought down to Sheol into the deepest regions of the pit. The reason I wanted to read that, though, is if you actually go and look, right? So if you actually go and look at the passage, the reference, right? If you actually go and look at this reference, what you see is, and the Bible does talk about this, that at one point Satan was one of the archangels, and he actually fell from heaven like lightning. And Jesus said he even saw it happen. Uh, but if you look at the passage, what it is it's not equating. Nothing in the Bible equates the two. All right, and if this guy is going to be consistent in his philosophy, so if Satan is this negative energy, this deceiver, and all this kind of thing, uh, he also wouldn't put in the same Bible that he. Like Jesus, all the statements of Jesus in the New Testament that are recorded in the New Testament, like love God and love others. That's not a phrase that Satan would use. Satan would never want that to happen because he is evil. He is evil, and both me and him would probably agree on that Satan is evil, so he wouldn't say that kind of thing. Now, it is true, though, that here, and this could be just reference to the king, but it looks like it is reference to Satan himself. But in other places, Jesus is the morning star, but the description after, right? So he says, the shining morning star has fallen from heaven, right? And so this is a metaphoric reference to Satan, who was this high angel, the shining morning star, but he fell. Now, when Jesus is called the shining morning star, there is no talk about him falling or being, wanting to go for the throne of God or anything like that. It just didn't happen. All right. So I wanted to spend some time on that because he finally touched on some scripture. But and he has another video I haven't watched, but he says that he actually knows scripture and knows Christianity because he was a Christian for so many years or whatever. But it doesn't seem that way to me watching his videos.
You see how Jesus is the morning star in the Bible? And Lucifer is also referred to as the morning star in the Bible? They're putting it in y'all face. Let's look.
Putting it in y'all face. No, they're not, buddy. You're trying to listen. If you ever want something to be true, you can make it true, right? But you need to have a solid foundation and the solid evidence that you need. Like you need solid evidence. You don't need some crazy philosophy. You need to make sure what you're saying is true. It lines up. It's consistent. It's coherent. That it all makes sense together, and that you have all the backing that you need: the philosophical, the scientific, the historical. You need all that backing to say that something is actually true. And he has no backing for anything he said so far in this video.
Look at who published the Bible. Now we come to King James. King James used to rape and kill people. It's crazy how he also happens to write a book on demonology and how to talk to demons. So y'all feel comfortable living your life off a book that he published and believes everything in it because it tells you it's the truth.
Okay. Let me back up because I want y'all to hear that again after I explain this King James thing. Okay. So he says King James published the Bible. It's not true. King James did not publish the Bible. So what King James did was King James brought so around the time King James was around, they were trying to translate the Bible well into English in a way that so that other people, a bunch of people, everybody really, could pick up a Bible and read it for themselves, like we can today. We take that for granted, but a lot of times in the Catholic Church, they would keep the Bible in Latin so nobody else could read it except for the priest and the Pope and all that stuff. And so King James, what he did is he brought a bunch of people together and he forced them to come up with a translation together. So a lot of people, different denominations, different viewpoints among Christians, come together and they translated the Greek and Hebrew and all the manuscripts that was necessary. And the only reason his name is on it is because he's the one that brought them all together, right? and it's popular knowledge. It's well known knowledge that he was not a good man. That King James was not a good man. He was a terrible man and did some very terrible things. But he had nothing to do with publishing the Bible. He didn't change the words of the Bible. He didn't add to the words of the Bible. The translators just used the manuscripts of the Bible, which is funny because he doesn't talk anything about that. But the Bible in its entirety was completed. So the 66 books of the Bible from Genesis to Revelation were completed by the end of the first century. They were all complete. The whole book was completed by the end of the first century. Everything in it was written. And we know that from manuscript evidence and various other things. So, but we know the whole Bible was written by the end of the first century, right? So within 70 years or so of Jesus' death, the entire Bible was written. And then in about, I believe it's 350 maybe, 350 AD, there's actually a canon. A canon is the list of books that are in the Bible, basically. They were canonized. So the books were canonized fairly quickly. It's the New Testament specifically because the Old Testament was already canonized before Jesus' time, but the New Testament specifically was canonized, and we have references to that throughout church history, starting in the second century, early second century. You start seeing some of the books being canonized, and I believe it's 100 something where we see the first list of books in the New Testament, minus maybe one or two books. But I say all that to say this: that King James did not publish the Bible. The Bible was completely written by the end of the first century, long before King James came around, and I think it was 1600 to translate a Bible. So that's just a completely false statement. All right. So I want y'all to hear this next part before I respond to it.
So y'all feel comfortable living your life off a book that he published and believes everything in it because it tells you it's the truth. Now y'all probably thinking the devil.
And he says, like I said, I already deal with the published thing, but he says you believe everything in it because it tells you it's the truth. That's not true. There's a bug flying around me. That's not true. We don't believe the Bible just because it says to believe the Bible, right? That's what we call circular reasoning, right? That's what we call circular reasoning. He's actually done circular reasoning here in his video. He's basically saying, he's using his arguments. I guess he really hadn't done circular reasoning, but he's using his arguments and assuming that they're true, and he's skipping a lot of steps. He's skipping a lot of necessary evidence that he would have to propose, all kinds of things that he's missing. But we shouldn't believe the Bible just because the Bible says it's true. That's like if I say I'm the greatest person in the world, and somebody asks me, how do I know that? I was like, well, because I just said it. That doesn't make me the greatest person in the world. So anyways, that's just inaccurate, and it's just insulting what he did there.
Was real, so is God. Have you ever thought to yourself?
Okay, so apparently this man believes that Satan is real, and I think he believes in God. I think we're going to see here in a second what his belief in God is like. But he says, so if Satan the deceiver is real, doesn't that mean that that if Satan is real, doesn't that mean God is real? All right. So he's been proving this whole time that Satan is real, and he's deceived. He's deceived all these Christians and all these religions to worship him, right? So he's saying, okay, does that mean God is real? Again, I really don't think he's really proven anything. I knew Satan was real within 30 seconds of his video, so let's take a listen to the rest of this.
That God and the devil is not the same as described.
By the way, he's kind of gotten off the topic that he started on now. Now he's really getting into other New Age beliefs.
In the Bible, y'all just
So he asked, have you considered that maybe the God that you worship is not the correct God? I can't speak for every Christian, but I have personally considered. I've considered all types of different gods because, like I said earlier, he's wrong, and all gods are monotheistic. So he's just wrong on that. But I have considered that. I have considered even New Age thought. Is it true? Is there a possibility it could be true or anything like that? So I have actually considered other things, and I just don't think that anything else, the evidence for anything else, doesn't weigh up nowhere near as well as it does for Christianity.
Act like that's so impossible for it to be true. Of course.
Act like it's so impossible. So here's the thing: a lot of Christians do act this way. like, oh no, you're just crazy. Oh no, that's impossible, or whatever. They don't even spend time to think through it like I'm doing now. A lot of people won't even spend time to think through it. Um, so a lot of Christians, so I can't just say that all Christians don't do that, because a lot of Christians will. They get very defensive and won't be have an open-minded discussion with somebody. Um, but I have had a few open-minded discussions with people of New Age thought.
Of course, we have a creator. And of course, we have bad energy out here.
Okay, so now he says, of course we have a creator. Uh, I would like to see what he means and how he gets to that conclusion that there's a creator. And then he says, of course we have bad energy, which means that there is evil in the world. All right. So if that's the case, that would necessitate that the creator had to be a moral creature. If he's the one that created, depending on what he believes the created being has made and all that stuff. But if the created being has made things that are good and evil, including Satan or the bad energy, he had to be a moral character that could make moral choices, which means he had to be a personal being and not an impersonal God or some kind of energy.
But why is it so impossible for somebody to give you a book and then tell you that creator is God and that bad energy is the devil? And you're not
Why? Let me read it. Let me listen to that one again. I think he misspoke. I think he just misspoke
to
there.
be true. Of course, we have a creator. And of course, we have bad energy out here. But why is it so impossible for somebody to give you a book and then tell you that creator is God and that bad energy is the devil?
Okay, I don't know what he's talking about here. He says, "What if somebody gave you why is it so impossible for someone to give you a book and then to tell you that uh, God is a creator and Satan?" Man, I missed it again.
To be true. Of course, we have a creator. And of course, we have bad energy out here. But why is it so impossible for somebody to give you a book and then tell you that creator is God and that bad energy is the devil?
Creator is God and bad energy is the devil. All right, I don't know of a book that tells you that.
And you're not even open-minded enough to even question that. But you
So yeah, so here he's saying that Christians aren't open-minded enough to question their beliefs. Uh, I actually suggest that people question their beliefs, but I suggest people question their beliefs as Christians around other Christians, not just Christians, but like this guy. I mean, he's convinced a lot of people. Even my friend that sent it to me, he said, "Wow, maybe there's some truth to this." And it's because she hadn't heard the defense from Christianity against these kinds of thoughts and ideas. So that's what I suggest, is that you listen to everybody. You listen to the people who just know more than you because they studied more than you. So there's a lot you need to do before you just accept a belief uh, and all that stuff. And it's not for everybody. Some people are just convinced of being Christian because of their experience. But I always discourage that, because what are you going to do if somebody else says, "Well, I'm a Muslim because of my experience"? So just always discourage that, and trying to base it on a little more better foundation than that.
want to feel comfortable believing in that Bible because you was raised off of your entire life. So it's like you don't want to believe in anything else because that Bible makes sense to you and it's easier to comprehend. Well, I'm sorry to bust your bubble.
All right. So before he starts getting vulgar, um, so he's accusing Christians that of believing a Bible blindly, and just because that's what we believed from birth. Uh, uh, like I said, that's true for some people. There are some people who believe the Bible blindly and believe it because they've been told, and they hold on to it because it makes them comfortable. That's actually true for a lot of people. But that's not true for everyone. There's plenty of apologists, including myself, and I don't believe the Bible just because I was raised. Matter of fact, I had a series of doubts, and I studied, and I asked questions, and I researched crazy things like this, and I come to my conclusions rationally and with evidence. Uh, so I think he's just at this point he just seems a little impatient, maybe impatient with people who just won't agree with him, and assuming that if Christianity is not true, then he is true. Now again, he started off talking about all religions, all these monotheistic religions, but he's specifically attacking Christianity. I always thought that's interesting with people in the world, is that uh, people who are deceived by Satan like this, that there is a spiritual warfare, and that sometimes it goes against other religions, but there's always this greater pressure and attack on Christianity than there is any other religion. at least from what I can tell. Maybe somebody can prove me wrong on that eventually, but from what I can tell, that's what I'm seeing. Uh, so I, for one, do not believe just because it makes me comfortable. I believe because I think it's actually true and it has solid evidence to support it.
But that shit is not real. The Illuminati, the devil, gave you all that shit so y'all wouldn't question the truth about life.
Okay. Uh, he just burst my bubble. No, so again, he keeps going back to this stuff, and he still has shown nothing of substantial evidence. Really, no evidence whatsoever. I guess it is. I mean, it's evidence in his mind, I reckon, but it's not substantial evidence for any of this that has been presented in his video, and yet he's accusing Christians of believing on unsubstantial evidence in their faith. And that we're too close-minded to even consider anything else. Let's keep listening.
Shit gets way deeper than just.
Oh yeah, it gets way deeper. Listen, I've had these deep conversations with New Agers, and it does get deep. I will say that it does get pretty deep, and it's philosophical. It's something that a lot of people just don't spend time doing, getting real deep into philosophy and epistemology and how you know what you know and existentialism and how do I know that I exist? Am I just some being that's being run by some alien or something? Some alien is controlling me, or maybe I'm in the middle of a video game or something like that. Uh, so I've thought through all that kind of stuff. That's kind of the philosophical side. But plenty of Christian people too, throughout the centuries have gone deep into thought about these kinds of things. So
it's a book. That book got y'all so programmed. You want proof? You never seen God?
The book has y'all programmed. All right, so I've heard that plenty of times. You just believe what you believe because you believe the book. The book has you controlled that somebody has written this book so they can control a population. A lot of times people call them sheep or whatever because the Bible actually does say that Jesus is the good shepherd and we are his sheep. But anybody who knows the Bible knows that's not about Jesus really controlling us. It's about Jesus protecting us and loving us. So let's keep listening. This is where it starts getting really offensive and rough. So just bear with me on this.
Or Jesus before, but we'll argue somebody to death that shit is real.
All right. Hold your horses, bro. I don't know. Maybe his name is Bo. No. You haven't seen God, Satan, or Jesus, yet you'll argue to death that it's real. When have you seen the energy that you say you believe in? When have you seen the things that you say you believe in? For one, you've just spent this entire video saying things and defending things that you haven't even seen yourself. You haven't seen Satan hold up two fingers. You haven't seen Jesus Christ hold up two fingers. And a lot of this stuff you're just making up anyways. So I don't understand why you would accuse Christians of arguing something that we'd never seen. And actually, some Christians have seen Jesus, homeboy. If you knew anything about the historical evidence for the New Testament, you would know that there were plenty of eyewitnesses that seen Jesus, and that only people who have not studied the historical documents and the historical evidence of Jesus Christ, only those who haven't studied that would say Jesus didn't even exist. And so we are basically at 99% that Jesus existed because there's extra biblical sources, the biblical sources, the extra biblical sources. There's evidence that the Gospels are actually accurate. Anyways, there's plenty of evidence. Even Bart Ehrman, he's an atheist, and even he'll say that Jesus did exist. He just doesn't think that some of the stuff about Jesus was true. So Jesus existed, man, and we know Jesus existed. So let's keep listening here.
And you don't have the ability to be open-minded and question this stuff because you're scared of going to hell. Because in the Bible it says don't question God. So since you can't do that.
Yeah, so I actually did again, he accused us of being close-minded, but I've already talked about that. But I actually did a couple sermons and a podcast about doubt and things like that. And he accuses us of not questioning our beliefs because we're afraid to go to hell. Um, Again, I'm not closed-minded. I have questioned my beliefs. It has nothing to do with going, and I'm not a Christian just because I'm afraid of hell. I'm a Christian because I love Jesus Christ and I really appreciate what he did for me. And I understand my sin problem. I understand that I need Jesus Christ. Uh, but uh, I just lost my train of thought, daggone it.
And you don't have the ability to be open-minded and question this stuff because you're scared of going to hell. Because in the Bible it says don't question God.
Yeah.
So since you can't do that,
Okay, so in the Bible it says don't question God. That's what I want to talk about. So when you look up questioning God or doubting God in the Bible, what it said is that don't. It really, when it talks about it, it's saying don't doubt God's power over your life, right? Uh, it's saying have faith in God, don't waver in that faith, trust God, uh, and it does. It does really help you the more you trust God, the more faith in God that you have. But there's also a verse that has a little bit of textual criticism behind it with how it should be translated. But there is a verse in Jude that says, "Have mercy on those who doubt." And I think that God is okay with us asking questions. He's okay with us thinking through things because in the end, the truth will be triumphant. The truth will be triumphant. But the thing is, though, if you're going to ask questions, you need to know how to do it. You need to know, what am I looking for? What would be enough evidence for me to be convinced that something was true? Uh, what's crazy is that when we doubt, we can be one piece of evidence. One piece of evidence can convince us to give up our entire faith. But if we were going to defend our faith, now we got to come up with 100 pieces of evidence, right? So it's crazy the little amount of evidence that we need to doubt something, but the crazy amount of evidence that we need to believe something. Uh, so watch out for that. Make sure that you're consistent when you're asking these questions. Make sure you're asking people who do know more than you, right? If this guy asked some Christians who knew more about Christianity than him, maybe he'd still be a Christian today, or maybe he would get saved because he used to be Christian, he said, and he was genuinely saved and all this stuff. But maybe he would either still be saved or would get saved. I'm convinced that he was never saved to begin with, probably.
just say God and Jesus wasn't real, right? So now,
So he says, if you want to open yourself up to be open-minded, all you got to do is say God and Jesus weren't real. And now you've opened yourself up to all kinds of things. But you can't just say that. You can't just say God and Jesus aren't real without giving any evidence that that is true. Like I said, there's plenty of evidence that Jesus was real. And there's plenty of evidence that the Gospels are trustworthy and that there's accurate information in them because of the eyewitnesses' accounts and all that kind of thing. So you can't just say Jesus wasn't real. That's not how it works, bro. You can't just say that something's not real. I could just say, well, this guy's not real. Okay, video over. No, you can't just say that. I have to prove that. I say, actually, no, this video was edited. This is actually a white woman from Nebraska has actually edited this video, and so this guy is not actually real or whatever. I had to defend that. I can't just say stuff like that. You have to defend it. You have to defend it.
how you're living your life in delusion. Actually think about it. This whole time you was worshiping an imaginary friend. And guess what? That's reality.
Wow.
It's funny.
So he says that we live our entire lives in delusion because we've been worshiping an imaginary friend. We've been living life with an imaginary friend. But listen, there's plenty of evidence that that God is real, that Jesus is real, that Jesus did what he did, and that Jesus was resurrected from the dead. There was plenty of eyewitnesses, plenty of things like that. It's just that people today, like this guy, these new agers, are just they're getting a little antsy with following a mass. They think that they're if they don't follow the mass, they feel like they're smarter. They feel like they've accomplished more. They feel like the masses have been lied to, that there's some secret knowledge out there that is to be grasped. Uh, but if this guy ever watches my video, just listen, man. Uh, I I'm sorry to hear that you say you used to be a Christian, that you're not now. I'm really sorry to hear that. But I also feel like if you would get your facts straight, that if you would study the evidence, that then you would study apologists like Gary Habermas or Mike Lacona or Frank Turek, if you would actually talk to these guys or interact with these guys and listen to these guys, listen to some debates on YouTube. Listen, there's actually a New Age debate versus two atheists. Listen to that debate as he destroys a lot of uh, those two guys destroy a lot of the New Age ideas that you've mentioned here. Uh, just listen to some of those debates. Look at the evidence, man. And I just pray and hope that you look to Jesus as your one and only Savior. And listen, if you're a Christian and you're watching this and you've seen other videos like this, feel free to send them to me just like my friend did, and I'll take a listen and I'll give you my thoughts on them. But listen, I'm not even that great of an apologist. But videos like this are very easy to refute, and I've only been doing this for a few years. But just listening to the inaccuracies and things like that, just don't be swept away in this kind of stuff. But look and listen, and try to find the truth, and don't just try to be swayed. Don't think that you're being deceived or anything like that. I really do think that this man here and all the other New Agers and really everybody in all other religions are being deceived, and that they need Jesus Christ. He needs Jesus Christ, just the same as I needed Jesus Christ when I got saved. So, anyways, thank you for watching. I hope this helps. I hope you interact with New Age videos and ideas in the future, that you use some of the thoughts that I've given in this video, and just keep them in your mind as if you hear those things, and just be careful. Be careful, because people who aren't trained in this kind of stuff can be easily deceived when they hear these kinds of things. So, and I pray that I can help. I can help teach more about the truth of these things, and help you get through these things, and hear the actual evidence and responses to these kinds of ideas. So, anyways, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. But thank you, and have a great day.